authors making less than minimum wage. I think partially because, what have you written, Amanda? Because you are a writer. You've written your movie that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, I've written that movie. I've got another short that I've tentatively titled Truth, Love, and Whiskey. Those are, so Painless and Truth, Love, and Whiskey are both short films. And then I have 2 features that I'm currently working on back to back.
Right.
One is a ghost story, and the other is the feature-length version of Painless. But you know, I wanted to throw something out there before we went to commercial break. You know, you were telling me that Nikki Sixx was one of the most difficult interviews only because you couldn't transcribe his ramblings. So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you have never had to interview my father.
Ah, you mean you mean Meatloaf?
The Loaf. Yes.
The Loaf. What's that like being Meatloaf's daughter?
What does your dad do for a living?
My dad is weird. He is a former corporate oil lawyer that was also a hippie, had a crisis of conscience, and now does human rights work in former war-torn Yugoslavia, working for like the UN and human rights organizations. So yeah,
that's quite a mouthful. I was gonna just say, like, what's it like being a plumber's son for a living? But no, I mean, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. Obviously, I grew up. Was given so many amazing opportunities, and I'm so thankful for so much. But there definitely is a tough side to it. You know, it's give and take. It's a little dichotomous, if you will. Especially being that my dad is technically a conservative Republican from Texas.
Right. Yeah, conservative Republican / rock star. Those are 2 things that you wouldn't necessarily throw together all that often. So, like him and the Nuge, that's got to be it, you know? Right?
So on the one hand, you know, I'm 5 years old backstage at Motley Crue in 1986 at Meadowlands Arena. You know, and then I'm going home from that, and I'm, you know, getting spanked and grounded because who knows why, you know, I snuck 50 cents out of my mom's wallet for a candy bar. I totally made that up, but
right.
You know, so it was, yeah, you know, grades were important and all of those, you know, conservative family values. But yeah, I'm hanging out backstage with Nikki Sixx at 5.
Well, you know, I would imagine if at age 5 you're hanging out with Nikki Sixx in the 80s, it's important to enforce family values when you get home, because otherwise you could lose sight of a couple of important things. What would you say is the most annoying question that people ask you about your father?
What is that?
Meaning?
Obviously the song "I Would Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That."
Yes. Right.
So people want to know what that is. If you still don't know, 20 years later, go ahead and Google it.
So you're not just going to tell us?
It literally is. Well, there's more than one answer, because it literally is every one of her lyrics back to him. When it goes into the duet, everything, you know, I know the story, I've been around, all time, blah, 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 fall down, whatever she sings. You know, basically at the end of the day, it's he won't lie to her, he won't cheat on her, he won't, you know. And so that's, you know, that is the answer.
I harbor. Well, here's the thing. I think I'm off to a good start, because I've got something in common with Jimmy Kimmel. I think the broadcasting world is about to be my oyster, because both Jimmy Kimmel and Patton Oswalt and I, at one point in our, note the sarcastic air quotes around this word, we were all wedding DJs. And which means I harbor a certain amount of resentment toward your father because of the number of times I've had to play Paradise by the Dashboard Light. That is one of his, right?
I can imagine. Yes, I can imagine. I was going to guess that one, or 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. For some reason, people love to play 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad at weddings, and it's the worst. Like, you know, have you listened to the lyrics? Do you understand what the song is really about? Apparently not. It's like the people that play the Police. What's that? You know. This is when my brain falls out.
Message in a Bottle?
No, Every Step You Take.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that's not the Police. That's just Sting, isn't it?
It's about a stalker.
Exactly. But, like, I think that's the number 2 requested song at weddings, and it's about a stalker. Good job, people. Anyway.
Yeah. Frank Sinatra's Summer Wind, and then a song about creepily trailing someone that wants nothing to do with you. Yay!
Yay!
So I would have thought that the question people ask most about your dad is, is there any truth to the urban legend that he drank his own urine to make his voice come back?
See, I've never heard this urban legend before. I think it's hilarious, and I would put money down that my father created that own legend himself.
I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it past anybody that was making music during that era. And there's a movie that Mike Myers made called Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon, I think his name is. And this is a guy who managed Alice Cooper back in the day and just tons and tons of artists. But basically, the whole sort of like concept of being a rock star was kind of a new thing. And they did whatever they could to drum up lousy publicity that would make parents disapproving of the music so the kids would go to the show. And like it was at a time where people weren't deluged with information about artists. So you could pull off one lousy publicity stunt and then sell out Wembley Stadium in England, like he said he did with Alice Cooper once by having a bus break down in the middle of Trafalgar Square with like an obscene picture of Alice Cooper on it. And then there were rumors that like Alice Cooper wouldn't start a show until he would throw puppies into the audience, and until the audience killed them, he wouldn't go on stage. And like it just stuff like that, which was clearly not true, but the publicity it generated was fantastic. So I guess maybe there's a chance that your father could have drummed up that piece of urine drinking publicity for himself. Yeah,
and I mean, the funny thing about that Alice Cooper story, although Alice is not a Republican conservative the way my father is, still very much when it comes to family is very into conservative family values.
Right.
So it's hilarious to me that, you know.
Yeah. No. Well, you know, I heard once that you'd be surprised how many of the bad boys of rock and roll sit in their dressing room backstage drinking milk while they're waiting to go on and hail Satan.
I guess that I should start by saying that all of this story is true. And even though the names are changing, if you think that it is, this song is probably about you. Tell me, was a kid that had so much promise, but it all went wrong the day he popped his first pill. Tell me, was a kid who was talented and smart, but ever since the day he started going downhill. Wasted again, just another night in your never-ending story. Wasted again, just another night in your never-ending story. You just can't stop, you just can't quit, and all your friends are so sick of it. Wasted again, just another night in your never-ending story. So tell me, do you remember all that lying to your friends? Like when you stole my guitar and you sold it so you can eat that Vicodin. How does it feel to be knowing that you let everybody who cares about you let them down? Till he doesn't even know he's kidding himself about why no one takes his calls or ever wants him around. Wasted again, just another night in your never-ending story. Wasted again, just another night in your never-ending story. You just can't stop, you just can't quit, and all your friends are so sick of it. Wasted again, just another night in your never-ending story. Tommy's going to jail after he got caught holding for somebody else. You know it's never his fault.
Delivering fascinating subjects, interesting talk, and boobs and fart jokes. AD on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, oh, let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Oh, let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah, yeah.
If you are just joining us, we are lucky enough to, well, today we are celebrating Amanda Aday Day. We're joined by Amanda Aday, who is actress, filmmaker, known for her recurring role as Dora Mae Dreyfus in the HBO series Carnival. You can Google her and see her boobs from, how long ago was it?
2002. So they're young boobs.
Yeah. We've already gotten numerous treats. We've already gotten numerous tweets from listeners going to Google. So there are now creepy listeners looking at pictures of your boobs in 2002. You're also Meatloaf's daughter, and you also have your directorial debut, a flick called Painless, which is almost done. Should be coming out in the not too distant future, and we'll get into that after we wrap up what remains of the news, Funkhauser. What else?
Well, wearing high heels can cause knee damage.
Yeah, in a new report, scientists have said that wearing high heels can cause knee damage. Interestingly enough, you know what else causes knee damage? Running. My point? Bruce Jenner's effed.
Oh, poor Bruce.
See, a buddy of mine was like, Bruce Jenner, you can't make jokes about him. Like, you just can't ever. Jamie Foxx bombed at the iHeart Media Awards, and you can't do that. And that was the public speaking. Bruce Jenner's off limits. And I was like, you know what? I disagree. And yeah, you shouldn't make fun of his situation. I shouldn't make fun of the fact that he's transitioning, but I bet there's humor in there that doesn't offend him personally or his sensibilities, and I think I found it. I think I hit on it. He wears high heels. He ran. In no way, shape, or form a slight against him or his experience. It's just saying he's definitely going to have knee damage moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. High heels are a bummer, man.
I'm
just,
so I hear. What? It's funny. Like, I sort of once saw. You see women walking around in high heels, but like once at one particular time, I noticed like the incline at which your feet are. It's so steep that I was like, let me just try walking around on my tippy toes for a second and see. Oh my God, it's unbelievably awkward. Now, if you have a big old heel, a 6-inch heel underneath it, well, then maybe that alleviates some of the stress. But it just seems like pretty much the most unnatural way to go through life, is it?
Yeah, no, barely. I won't do it. Funkhauser knows me well enough by now. I'm a Converse Ugg boots. I might do what's called a wedge from time to time if I want to look fancy on a date.
I've seen you in wedges.
Yeah, but I won't do the heels, man.
Funkhauser, the fact that you know what wedges are mean that you have to come in during the next show in a floral print number and swish around for us. What's a wedge?
Well, that's how I learned. Is I asked her like, what are those things on your feet?
Yeah, so it's basically like where instead of having no space between the toe and the heel, that whole chunk is filled in, so it actually allows some real support for the arch of your foot. But and I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard where else high heels were in the news this week? If I may share,
you may.
Apparently, but now it's become known as Heelgate. Women were being turned away from the red carpet at Cannes for not wearing heels, and in particular, one woman who actually had part of her foot amputated was told she could not walk the carpet of, I believe it was her own film. She was an executive producer.
No kidding.
Of course, this was squashed, and she eventually did get in to see her own film. But it's kind of it's absolutely ridiculous that now it's being demanded.
She had an amputee foot, like she didn't have a foot.
No, I think she had several toes.
Oh, okay.
That had been amputated. But still, that when you have toe, you can no longer. So all of your support when you're wearing a heel is in your toe.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, no, it turns out that some people were wrong, and you don't in fact have to wear heels. You can wear sparkly flats and blah blah blah. But it was a very big deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
You'd think there's sort of like the artistic community that comes out in force at an event like Cannes would be sort of a little bit more, if I may borrow an expression from the French, laissez-faire when it comes to things like footwear and a woman's right to look however the hell she wants to, especially when attending the premiere of her own movie. But like it's interesting that community would show that amount of closed-mindedness in that particular situation.
Yeah. But I think I'm going to start like the women in the 60s did with burning bras. I'm just going to start burning heels.
What else, Funkhauser?
According to the Department of Labor, the occupations that are most likely to kill you include fisherman and logger.
Don't forget journalist who tries to ask Hillary Clinton a question she wasn't prepared for. burn you with her laser eyes on the spot. Have you, no judgment in any way, shape, or form, but do you know who you're voting for this time out, Amanda?
I mean, not. I want to say Hillary. Is my